Good morning. This is Jonathan Chatke, and this is my weekly rant for September 19th, 2020. Um, with Ruth Bader Ginsburg passing away last night, we have a new Supreme Court nominee, and the Supreme Court is seen as a very powerful thing. Well, what is the Supreme Court constituted for? By? Well, it's right here in the Constitution in Article 3, Section 1. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may, from time to time, ordain and establish. The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall, at stated times, receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution and the laws of the United States and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and councils, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign state citizens or subjects. Of course, some of that was changed by the 11th Amendment. In all cases affecting ambassadors and other public ministers and councils, and those in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. In all other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. The trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held by the state where the said crimes shall have been committed. But when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court. The Congress shall have power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attainted. So, what have we got here? We've got an actual court described and subsidiary courts, the federal courts. We have a list of things that of jurisdictions, of the laws of the United States, that's the federal laws, treaties, and then cases of situations, ambassadors. So if an ambassador comes to the United States and murders someone, that murder is prosecuted in a federal court rather than in a state court. Other public ministers and councils. So, a public minister, other since it's all in one clause here, that's foreign dignitaries. To all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. So, admiralty law is designed to handle things on the high seas. And so, because the Constitution federalizes certain things, the admiralty law is also federalized. and that way somebody sailing in American waters doesn't have to worry about what law they're under. It's all under admiralty law and under the uh, local um, federal court. To controversies to which the United States shall be a party. So if somebody is suing the United States of America, or um, to controversies between two or more states. So if one state is suing another, this gives them a forum. Between citizens of different states. So if I'm suing somebody in of an Illinois person, I can sue in federal court instead of having to sue in Missouri or Illinois state court. Between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states. So what happened when we were growing? The Virginia territory, for instance, was from the bottom parallel and up to a certain angle. So Virginia is this big angle all out to the west. But Pennsylvania had a claim that went between the two parallels all the way. So technically, Pennsylvania's claim and Virginia's claim overlapped. And so the grants, Virginia could have granted something, and at the same time, Pennsylvania could have granted the same land. So that's what would have been.
I want something to eat.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, after I'm done ranting a little bit about courts.
What is courts?
So,
what are courts?
now, when you take a case,
What are your courts?
You don't talk about whether the law the case is based on is according to the Constitution or not. And there's nothing in here about the Supreme Court being the only one to get to decide that in the final. Every court gets to decide whether the law follows the Constitution. The appeals process that we have is not specified here, except for
HDMI one.
in all other cases, before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction. So you see, unless it's one of these cases, right? Unless it's one of the listed specific types of cases, the Supreme Court cannot be appealed to. They don't have appellate jurisdiction for a state crime. There's no appellate jurisdiction for a state crime to the Supreme Court. If the case is not listed here as one of the cases which a federal court can listen to, there's no jurisdiction for the Supreme Court in any way, shape, or form. The state Supreme Courts decide whether their state laws conform to the Constitution of the United States. It is not in the purview of the Supreme Court. Our Supreme Court has overstepped its bounds. How do you fix that? Well, you need to take precedence back. The state Supreme Courts need to hold on to their rights, the Supreme Court would need to specifically um, deny certiorari, is what it's called, to these state level matters. Whether See, what they've done is they've done an end run. They've made federal laws like the EEOC that are used to appeal into the federal case when a state law is outside the bounds, right? And so that's how they're doing this end run. But for a specific state matter, that if there's no federal law against, and it doesn't pull in anything here, that's why they say, my civil rights have been abridged. So that's why these extra constitutional laws, which don't uphold one of the clauses of the Constitution, are especially dangerous. And in order to remedy that, you have to go through, under the current system, this long drawn out process of taking each of those laws and bringing it to the Supreme Court and getting a Supreme Court conservative enough to say, you're right, this isn't authorized by the Constitution, and the law is void. So the legal way to do things is exceedingly slow. The legislative way is a lot much faster, where you just cancel you just repeal the law. The executive way, where the executive decides that it's unconstitutional, he won't enforce the law, and then you have to have a legal way to force the executive back into compliance. So, as an executive, as president, I would stop enforcement of these unconstitutional laws that go beyond what I will swear to uphold, the Constitution of the United States. And when I do that, I will make a case for why I am considering it unconstitutional and why I'm not doing it. So, for instance, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms cannot tax or limit firearms in any way, shape, or form except to keep them out of the hands of criminals because of the Second Amendment. Furthermore, I can't even uphold the treaty keeping weapons off of merchant ships because of the Second Amendment. Keep and bear arms. Doesn't matter if I'm doing it personally or if I'm part of a business which owns a ship which has a fucking cannon on it, which has a I don't care. The private party wants to own a battleship, they are welcome to do it. Not my problem. American ships should be piracy proof because they've all got a 3-inch gun on the deck. It would take very little room, and it would be easy to maintain. And you come up to them, and you got a gun trained on you. You got a 75 millimeter gun pointed at you, and you're in a little skiff, and you're like, okay, um, yeah.
HDM 911.
Peace through superior firepower should not be a case of a limited number of ships with capability, but should be a case of every man, woman, and child having as much firepower as they wish. So, I would push Congress to make a law specifically upholding the Second Amendment. All
HDM 911.
Any anyone attempting to interfere with a sale of arms is subject to some fine. It doesn't even have to be a large fine; it just has to be a fine, anything. And then people have a constitutional remedy all the way up to the Supreme Court to cancel any state law that breaks the Second Amendment. And that's how you would handle all of these things. You put a fine for anybody trying to interfere with any constitutional right, and then it's clear that there is a federal path to clear away these state laws. Anybody attempting to interfere with a religious with exercise of religion is subject to a fine of $50 at the federal level. And now you have you have a method for bringing the interference with religion into the federal courts, and that is the method to implement the federal oversight of all of the Constitution throughout the entire country. And you then bring down these unconstitutional local laws just as surely as you bring down on the federal level. Of course, you have to have a freedom-loving Congress in order to do that. And we've seen a lot of, quite a lot, lack of freedom-loving. If your congressman is in favor of lockdowns, if your congressman is in favor of breaking the Constitution in any way, shape, or form, vote him out. But we're going to have the most corrupt election ever. Ever. They're going to try everything they can to keep the Democrats in power as much as they have. These psychopaths do not care about the rule of law. They do not care about other people. They do not care about even their own families. Black lives don't matter to them. White lives don't matter to them. Disabled people, black people, are only tools to be manipulated in order to maintain power.
I want something to eat.
Stop giving them power. We need to stop giving them power. And the only way to do that will be to keep the counting out of the hands of computers. So write in your votes
me.
Yes, I know. And what we will know we've done it when they say 90% of the votes are write-ins, and we can't count them yet. We have we haven't the ability to count these by computer, so we're going to have to wait a few weeks to get the counting, and that is when we will know we haven't um, managed it. Because when you can't count by a computer, you have to do it by hand, and that means that there's two people sitting at the table writing down the tallying up whose votes are there, and they if their tallies don't match, then they have to go back over it again, time and again.
I want something to eat. Please come with me. The kids in.
That's how you force
Come
them
with me into
to do the job.
kitchen.
All right.
Come with me.
Peace and joy, and have a good day.